Hey, I'm Brian Van, sportbiketrackgear.com, and today we're going to break down our Brembo Corsa Corta master cylinder install on our 2018 STG Suzuki GSXR 1000R project bike. The Brembo Corsa Corta master cylinder is the latest in their hyper sport racing master cylinder line. This thing offers a ton of adjustment. The RCS 19 was the predecessor to this, and it is still available. It offers the adjustable lever ratio. The ratio in the lever can be tuned from an 18, which is a little easier to modulate, up to a 20, which is just simply more aggressive. It takes less physical effort to get the same braking force out of it. So you can get that with the RCS 19 as well as the Corsa Corta. What's different with the Corsa Corta is it also offers 3 different settings. You have normal, you have sport, and you have race that allow you to dial in that very initial bite, the moment when the brakes really start to come in. If you've ridden the bike enough, you know that that initial point with the brake lever, you've got just that little bit of no man's land there where you're able to modulate the brakes a little bit. That can be great in low traction situations. That can be great on the street. If you're doing track days or you're racing and every millisecond counts, that little bit of no man's land can simply cost you time. You're able with this to go from normal. And I want you to notice something that's happening here too. Look at the lever itself. You're able to go from normal, which is this setting right here. So you're going to have that initial application. There's really not a whole lot of brakes happening there. You go to sport and notice the lever comes back a little bit closer. You lose a little bit of that no man's land and you get to the real brakes quicker. And then you go to the most finite setting, which is race. And this is going to give you the same uptake, the same feel that a MotoGP rider is going to be getting, right? Same thing they're using at that level of racing. And notice the lever changes a little bit there. You can literally feel the difference in the lever itself. This master cylinder is made with a forged aluminum body. It is very lightweight. It uses the same piston and seals found in MotoGP. It's also equipped with a folding lever. You're able to adjust the distance between the lever blade and the throttle. Very simple to do. There are remote adjusters available. That's something that you're interested in. I replaced the OEM unit that came on this bike. After installing the Spiegler braided brake lines on this, the brakes in the bike were not bad. They worked really good. They still had a little bit of fade to it, and that's kind of a characteristic of this motorcycle. You get a couple laps in, they start to get hot, you get a little fade. What I would do to compensate for that is I would start off with my lever a little further out than I really wanted it, understanding that I'm 2 laps in, it's going to be right where I want it. What you don't want to have happen is start with the lever super close to the bar, then you're out there, you get some fade, and you're out of brakes. That's no bueno. So what I would do to compensate is just put the lever out a little bit further. Installing the Corsa Corta Master, I've ridden on it 2 times now, 2 different track weekends, and I've had a chance to play with the settings. I'm already familiar from previous Brembo experience with the difference between the lever ratio, the 18 and the 20. The 18 is simply easier to modulate, right? It's a little more forgiving if you get a little snatchy with it. The 20 simply is more aggressive. It takes less physical effort to get the same amount of braking that more effort would require with the 18. The downside could be is that, you know, if you're a little tired, right, and you get a little grabby with the lever, you know, there can be some penalties for that. But if you have good feel, your hands are fresh, it simply takes less effort to get the same braking force, which can make the riding that much more enjoyable for you. So I've already experienced that, but I got to also go out and play with the initial bite setting. I tried it in normal, I tried it in sport, and I tried it in race, and you can feel the difference between each one. To be quite open and honest with you, you start off with a lever ratio of 18 on this, as well as the normal setting here. For the bite, it is still far better than the OEM Suzuki master cylinder ever was. Okay, before we break down the installation, what it took for me to get it on my Suzuki, and those are tips that would help you even if you have a different model, let's finish up focusing on the adjustments that are available with it. The kit included this screwdriver. It is a specific tip size. It's going to slide into the lever ratio adjuster. Okay, if you lose this, don't freak out. All you have to do is get a flat bladed screwdriver of about that size and slide it in there. To gain access to the adjuster, you need to remove this rubber plug from the end of the lever. We need to put that back in, so we'll put it to the side and save it. With where I have my lever positioned, I need to come in at an angle about like so. Now, if you want to just make sure, Caleb, that we're up here, check out that new flashlight. We'll show you what happens here when I rotate this. You can hear that very positive click. That's important, okay? That audible click is very important. That's why I did that one final time so you can hear it. It's also important to note that when you make any changes to this master cylinder for the lever ratio or for the initial bite setting, that you first mechanically check the lever without riding the bike, like I'm doing right now. Make sure everything looks and feels good, because remember, you're out there, you lose the front brakes, you lose control of the motorcycle, it's no bueno. So make sure you check it on the stand, and then your first ride, maybe it's around the paddock or maybe it's around the neighborhood, you know, just some very easy braking. Don't put yourself in any situations. I'm really overstressing this for safety reasons. Just make sure everything's copacetic before you go out. You don't need to put a tremendous amount of thought to it. I just want to make sure you're consciously thinking of it. And now we have the adjuster here for the initial bite setting. I have it on race right now. You just simply grab this dial and rotate it. And you can see this lever is moving, and it's about 2 millimeters here at the very end. I actually didn't measure it. So if we start off in normal, which this is going to be the easiest to modulate setting in terms of initial bite, okay? Normal would be great for, say, you're on a wet track, city riding, right? You know, where you're on and off the brakes quite a bit and you don't want them to be so grabby. You adjust it from there to sport. You'll find the lever comes back about 2 millimeters here at the very end of the blade. And now that no man's land is just simply going to be smaller, okay? The brakes are going to get to the initial bite much quicker, much less movement of the lever is required. And then, of course, race. And I would recommend this. This is a track only, right? Maybe canyon carving only kind of thing. I want you to really experiment with it if you buy this, to understand it before you put yourself into any heavy braking or panic situations. And that's going to move the lever back here at the end of the blade, you know, about another 2 millimeters. And this is going to be your most aggressive setting. If you have the lever ratio at 20 and you have it set on race, you're going to get immediate bite with it. And you're also going to have the strongest lever ratio that it offers, which means less physical effort required for extreme braking force. Now, when you take and you add this to stainless steel lines, and I would never put this on with just rubber lines. The standard lines that come on this bike, they really need to be replaced because they absolutely degrade the performance, the braking performance of the bike. So you start off with your stainless lines. Pads are also a great option. I've got Vesra pads on this right now, some ZZs, double X's are phenomenal, RJLs are also phenomenal. And then your last one would be the master cylinder. And this would be something you'd replace if you have some brake fade issues. You want to clean up the controls. We'll talk about that in a second because it looks so much better. There's so much more room here. Or you simply just need more feel at the brake lever. Now that we've covered the features, the benefits, what I think about it, I love it, I think it's a great piece. Let's talk about installation. I'm going to show you and break down the installation that I did here on my GSX-R 1000R. If you have a different model bike, a lot of the stuff I'm showing you is still going to be helpful and applicable. What I really want to stress right now is these are high performance aftermarket racing parts, okay? It doesn't come with this unbelievably detailed set of instructions to guide you through every possible variant with the installs that are out there, they do expect that you have a reasonable level of mechanical ability and experience. This video can help bridge the gap for people that maybe have a little less experience but have enough mechanical aptitude to get to a good end result. The master cylinder itself can be installed by using the optional, which I highly recommend. That's what I put on my bike, and that should be a great sign for you. The optional reservoir kit that is designed to work with the Brembo racing master cylinders. I really think this is a must-have if you're going to install the RCS Corsa Corta, the RCS 19, or really any of the Brembo racing masters. This reservoir makes it so much easier because it mounts right to the clamp, the upper clamp bolt of the master cylinder. It is not included, it is sold separate. Things that are included with the RCS Corsa Corta are going to be a double banjo bolt with a 1.0 pitch. The reason I'm stressing the pitch is most Japanese, especially most Japanese sport bikes, are going to have a master cylinder, a banjo bolt on there that has a different thread pitch. 1.25, I believe, is what that one is. So those bolts are not going to be compatible. If you have a single banjo bolt, right, not a double, this is meant to accept two brake lines stacked on top of each other. You'd have the banjo, one washer, a brake line, another washer, another brake line, and then the final washer that would go between the brake line and the bottom of the master, like so. That's what this is designed to work with, and that's what's included with this master. For my install, I already had a set of Spiegler stainless steel braided lines on this bike, and they're a single banjo off of the master cylinder, right? It's only one fitting. So this bolt is going to be useless for me. The OEM master cylinder banjo bolt is going to be the incorrect thread pitch. That's not going to work out for you either. We offer on the website Spiegler single banjo, right? Single fitting banjo bolts with a 1.0 pitch. We try to keep those in stock here in a couple of the colors. If you're ordering a brake line kit at the same time, you need to give us a heads up and let us know, hey, I'm going to be installing a Brembo master cylinder on the bike, and we can make sure that you have the correct banjo if it's not going to be included in the kit, just to make the install go smoother for you. We have also the single banjo, right? The single fitting banjo available from Brembo on our website. It is not included in the kit, so you need to be aware of what your installation is going to look like so you get all the parts right up front. If you intend to reuse your OEM master cylinder brake reservoir, you can do that. You are going to need a 6mm diameter Tygon tubing kit. We offer those on the website. That'll allow you to use the Brembo Master with your OEM reservoir. It's not the most ideal way to do it. It is one way that you can do it if you choose to do so, but let me tell you, this thing right here is worth every penny you spend on it. So moving forward, things to look for with the installation and benefits that you pick up by installing this. Comparing this to the OEM Suzuki master cylinder and reservoir setup, this is so much cleaner. One of the main reasons is, well, now your reservoir bracket is bolted to the actual master cylinder itself. You're no longer dependent on finding some other mounting point here if you've installed clip-ons on the bike. It's much cleaner. And just the overall girth of the master and the lever is much less than what we found with the stock Suzuki unit. You know, one of the issues that I had was up here by my camera. I had some contact right up here in the front of the lever area. That is now gone. It's just much cleaner, much more room to adjust this. If I want to slide this out, because the body of the master here at the clamp is thinner, it could allow me to slide this out. So if you want to bring the lever further out this way, you can do that. If you want to slide it in closer to the clip-on cuff, right, so that you're grabbing more towards just the end of the lever, then you want to talk about ratio and leverage. The closer you can grab this lever to the end, the greater mechanical advantage you have, obviously, because you've increased the length of the lever. So if you're two-finger braking and you're doing it right here, as compared to two-finger braking and doing it over here, you're going to get a different result. This is going to take more physical force than it would over here, and that thinner thickness of the body at the clamp area just allows for more adjustment, especially if you've done something like install this Motion Pro Rev 2 throttle kit. You know, I've got all kinds of room over here on this clip-on cuff now. You're able to, with this reservoir, You can see how I've got it bolted up. The reservoir kit includes this bracket, the clamps, the hose, reservoir itself, the hardware here. You'll have a new bolt for the upper bolt on the clamp and a spacer that goes between the bracket and the clamp itself. Hopefully Caleb's able to get in there. And the instructions that come with this, while they're not amazing, it will show you what to use and where to use it. You're also able to bend this bracket a little bit, right? So if you need to bend it to increase or reduce clearances to get things like enough clearance here with your upper fairing, you want to make sure that at no time are you going to have any contact anywhere. Feel free to bend and manipulate this bracket and reposition it until you get it into the best possible point for your bike and for your setup. A couple other important points. If you are using the front brake light switch, and there could be different reasons for this, right? For example, an ABS equipped bike, if you want to leave all that stuff intact, right? You're going to still do some street riding. This master cylinder actually ships with its own front brake light switch, and it's already installed on the master. I removed it for my purposes because I have no need for it at this point. I've eliminated the ABS on this bike, right? And it's not, and never has been ridden on the street. So I just removed it and put it to the side. But just to give you an idea, this is what it looks like. It is a very simple switch, right? There's no way that you can swap the wires or mix anything up. It's either open or closed. So if you're a street rider or need to retain the functionality of the brake light switch at the master, you're able to do that, and that is included with the kit. Now here's something that is super important. This is your Brembo registration card, and this is the thing that lets you know, I'm gonna try and open this up while I'm talking, that you have a genuine Brembo component. We're living in a world today, well, I'm gonna probably sit here and spend a half an hour fumbling with this thing trying to get it open. This is probably the fanciest registration card I've ever seen. Okay, we're living in a world of copycat products that appear to offer all this value. Hey, look, that's a Brembo master cylinder, an unbelievable price. Well, guess what? Well, it's not. It's probably a fake. And I gotta tell you, if you want to buy fake, something that's fake, buy pretend Jimmy Choos for your girl, right? And tell her, yeah, they're just as good as a genuine article. Don't buy imitation brake parts or imitation controls for your motorcycle. You need those things to perform and to be quality, to be reliable. They fail, you have an accident, and that's no good. So I want you to look for this registration card. And once again, I mean, this is some serious presentation here, but they are, of course, Italian. It's right here, right? You're able to get this product registered, and that is going to activate your warranty. Notice I have not done that. Shame on you, Brian, for not having done that. So you do want to make sure that that's in there, and you go through the steps and get that all done. It's really simple stuff to do. Just to tidy this up, I really want to stress this is not just a direct fit part that is going to jump right on your motorcycle and fit exactly like the OEM part that you removed. There is a possibility that you're going to have to spend some time adjusting the bracket, right? Moving things around to get all the clearances that you need. For many bikes, like the Suzuki, it really didn't take a lot of effort at all to install this. I was able to get it on here, bleed the brakes, get the reservoir position. I was good to go, and it took very little time. Every bike's a little bit different, and just make sure that you're prepared for that. Beyond that, the quality is amazing, right? The feel, the difference that it made for this bike is worth every single penny I spent on it. I have loved every lap I've taken after installing this thing on my Suzuki.